As guitar players, we work so hard to learn scales and we practice them over and over, only to find that your playing just lacks a little life, it lacks soul. If it sounds like you're just running over your scales when you're trying to build your own licks, then this lesson is for you. I'll show you a cool trick to help you use scales in a fun and creative way so that you can build licks that you are proud of. Alright, to get started with this, we've got to pick a key, then a scale, and then even a position. I'm going to pick the A minor pentatonic scale here in this position. Certainly the most popular minor pentatonic scale position. And once you've got a feel for where the notes are laid out for the A minor pentatonic scale in this position, then you're probably going to find yourself getting into one of those ruts where your licks might sound like this example lick number 1. Alright, there's nothing wrong with that. It does lack a little bit of life though. And to me, it sounds a lot like we're just practicing our scales in a fun way, which is cool to do in the practice room. But if you're working on building a blues lick that you can be proud of, then you want to punch this up a little bit. But that doesn't mean that this position on the fretboard is bad or that you can't squeeze some more soul out of it. You absolutely can. And so here's the little hack. If we start here, say for instance on this A, you can move up to a C, which is the next note in the minor pentatonic scale, but you can never play more than 2 in a row from the scale. So I can play A to C, but I can't then go to D because that would be 3 notes in a row from the scale. So once I get here, I've got to pick something else. And this limitation really kind of breeds some creativity because if you think about it, you naturally want to drop here to that D, but that really starts to sound like probably what you're already doing when you're noodling, and it doesn't sound super full of life. We're just walking up the scale tones. That has its place, but to break out of that and to be a little bit more creative and to make sure that you're not only doing that, this 2-note limitation really comes in handy. So I might roll through and catch that E. That's a different interval. It kind of grabs the ear a little bit. I might even reach up and grab that G instead. So you might come up with licks like that. Notice that I'm not using any real fancy or sophisticated guitar technique. I'm just using the notes that are right there under your fingers on this position in the fretboard. We're not moving out anywhere. We just want to squeeze as much soul and as much life as we can from here. It's really interesting how placing some limitations on your practice sessions just like this can really give way to a lot of unique ways to put notes together. And that's going to help you break out of any rut that you may have established under your fingers on the fretboard when it comes to practicing your scales that then translate over into playing your scales when you're jamming, when you're improvising, when you're writing licks. Now I've put together a short playlist over here full of my best tips and tricks for actually learning scales in a fun and creative way and then putting them to use so that you can get the blues that's inside of you out into the world. So go ahead, click play. I'll see you over in the next video, and until next time, play on.